Hi guys, it's getting kind of late. I just jumped off my brother's Twitch stream, Quarters Without Borders, and after sitting for I don't know, a good 6 hours or so, my body's feeling kind of stiff and I want to move a little bit to loosen it up. This brought me to thinking, as I move through these positions and I move through these postures, this is a great chance to kind of capture some of this. And one of the basic poses, one of the basic postures that I want to start off by talking about is Chaturanga Dandasana. So Chaturanga Dandasana, or four-point staff pose, is one of the fundamental positions of yoga, regardless of the style of yoga that you choose to practice. So I wanted to take a few moments to really break down Chaturanga Dandasana and show you how you can prep to do it the right way. Chaturanga Dandasana is a very essential yoga posture, and there are 1,000,001 yoga videos on it. There's tons of content here on YouTube. I'm sure there's tons of content on TikTok and Instagram and things along those lines. There are plenty of yogis making videos on how to do Chaturanga. The reasoning is Chaturanga is so foundational, and yet as simple as it looks, it is very, very difficult. It requires an extensive amount of strength to hold the posture, where naturally our bodies want to go here. When we're down in the plank position on the floor, picture our bodies are vertical here, or picture our bodies are horizontal here. Our bodies naturally want, as we compress down to the floor, we want to accordion fold. We want to come down like this. So our hands are staying pressed on the floor, pressed on the mat, and our elbows want to go back, and we want to be under our chest because that's where we're leveraging. We've got our toes that are fixed on the mat, and that's one pivot point. But then the next point, it makes sense for it to be at the opposite side of the load we're trying to lift, and the load being our body. Chaturanga Dandasana takes this position, it takes the load, and it moves it from here, which is a very natural position, and it shifts it to the center of our body. So now our shoulders down our elbows and our hands are here snugged up, making a 90-degree, and we're against the mat. Now with where we're lifting our weight from is down around the center of our body. This is not the center of balance. This is not the most ideal place for us to lift our weight, but as we progress into more challenging arm balances and inversions, this makes sense because we want to be able to lock into that 90 for support and stability as we start stacking weight onto the back of our triceps. So, building the strength, first and foremost, feeling comfortable in this position, but then building strength upon it is absolutely essential for a strong practice that will allow you to unlock many of those positions that we view as fun or aesthetically pleasing, let alone challenging. But then also to do it in a safe manner where you've built the strength to support your practice and you're at a lower risk of injury. So, moving into this, what is Chaturanga? If you've never seen Chaturanga before, I'm going to move through it. So we're here in one of the most well-known yoga postures, downward facing dog. In many practices, vinyasa, ashtanga, hatha, we move from downward facing dog, often inhaling, coming up onto our toes, pushing through the mat, engaging the back of our shoulders, and then moving forward. And if you look here, the plane of my shoulders is far over my arms, which is uncomfortable here. But as I lower into Chaturanga, naturally aligns my shoulders to fall into a 90-degree. Flipping the toes, upward facing dog, and then exhale, pushing back to downward facing dog. So, coming down to our knees, we're going to come to tabletop. And from here, we're going to practice getting a feel for what Chaturanga is supposed to feel like. From there, we'll move into how we can build some strength to where it feels a little bit more natural for us to move into it. So first and foremost, for Chaturanga Dandasana, I recommend, if you've never done this before, going up against a wall. Now, if you've never done Chaturanga Dandasana before, or if you've done it as you move through the postures and the positioning really quickly, then you might not have really had like the, how am I doing this? Am I doing this right? So the big thing with Chaturanga Dandasana is your arm positioning. It looks as you're executing the pose like you are doing a tricep push-up. There is a big difference between a standard tricep push-up and Chaturanga. The reason I say to do this against a wall is that way you don't have the weight of your body working against you, and you're able to move through the posture, you're able to feel where your arm positioning is supposed to be, and you can get a feel for this movement vertically before we take it horizontally, and then you're fighting your weight with gravity. So walk up against a wall, place your hands in front of you. Now, if you're doing a tricep push-up, it makes sense for your hands to be under where the weight is that you're trying to lift. So you have your toes as your balance point on the ground, but you're trying to lift your chest. So when you're doing a tricep push-up, your hands are naturally under your chest, and you're moving like this, right? I'm gonna step back away from the wall. And we're moving like this. Makes an acute angle with your arms and your elbows, and you're moving. Right? Chaturanga Dandasana, however, is not. For Chaturanga, you want a 90-degree angle. So you want a nice broad chest, you're rolling your shoulders back, you're not arching your back in, but you have a nice strong line from your shoulders down through your arms, through your elbows, flat back in your finished position, hands against the wall, and this is the down position of your Chaturanga. So to come back up, what happens? Try that. When you're nice and squared against the wall and you're pushing away, you're naturally going to start losing your balance. Why? Because your body wants to go forward. So a way you can try and keep that, the nice line where you're not like arching forward, is you can kind of come up on your toes, and that gives you a little bit of room, right? Or you can come back a little bit, and that gives you a little bit more stability if you bend your knees. So we're going to take this to the floor so you can kind of see what I'm talking about a little bit more. But the big thing that I want you to learn here against the wall is get a feel for this. We're not doing this where you would be for a tricep push-up, but we're down here. We're making that nice 90-degree angle. So, tricep push-up, Chaturanga. It's a much different motion, it's a much different weight distribution, and it's a lot harder. So, now that we've moved against a wall and we have this feeling, right? So, tricep push-up, Chaturanga. We're down here by our ribs. So now we're fighting against not only that stretch against our wrists, but we're fighting muscularly against the top heaviness of our upper body. So coming in sideways, for Chaturanga, to get a feel for this, I highly recommend starting on your knees. So we're gonna come into tabletop, palms spread nice and wide, rooting strong through the palms, strong through the knuckles, strong through the fingers, and then bracing down through our legs. We're just gonna start with our inhales and exhales, and we're gonna warm up the mobility in our wrists. Just warming them up and really finding that feeling in our hand positioning where it doesn't feel strenuous on our hands, right? Because Chaturanga Dandasana, when it's in full expression and we're up, we're coming up on our toes. We're pushing forward, and there's an acute angle now on our wrists. So we want to make sure that transitioning from downward facing dog and rolling forward into Chaturanga, that we're not going to stress our wrists. So here is Chaturanga. Here is what a tricep push-up feels like. It's a little different. So starting on our knees, we're just gonna get a feel for what the up and down is for Chaturanga. So our hands are shoulder width apart, and we're gonna have them just a little bit ahead of our shoulders, right? Because we wanna be able to get that feeling of what it's like if we were to move from downward facing dog through the curve, coming up on our toes. I hope my pants aren't blocking that. I hope you can see that. Coming up on our toes and moving through. So we're gonna drop down to our knees. And then as we inhale and exhale, we're gonna move with our breath. So inhale, puffing up the shoulders. And exhale, arching the back, pushing through the shoulders, engaging the hands, pushing down into the mat. There's real resistance there. Arching, and then as we hit the crown, exhaling, allowing the body to come forward and allowing the arms to come to our sides. It's good to do this. Inhale back up. It's good to do this. In this case, I'm looking in the viewfinder for the camera, but it's good to do this next to a mirror or with some way that you can see your reflection. Why? Because it's very easy to not stop here, especially when you're learning the position. This is hard, but instead we want to do this. This feels easier. That is also wrong. And as we progress more and more into our practice, if you allow your body to dip your shoulders down, you're setting yourself up for failure when you try building off of Chaturanga. So Chaturanga is a foundational pose. It is very hard and it requires a decent amount of strength to hold. Chaturanga builds that basic foundation here that we then build numerous arm balances and multiple inversions off of. So if you want to be able to eventually start taking flight or to make more complex handstands and hand balances and things to that matter in your practice, then you want to make sure that you really nail a proper Chaturanga. Now you don't have to be able to do it 10 or 15 times in a row. You just have to be able to do it for a full inhale, a full exhale, a full inhale, and back. And being able to do that with true form will allow you to start building those inversions and building those balances on top of your Chaturanga. And as you have a consistent practice, you will continue to build strength and you'll be able to hold it for longer. So, as a strength building practice, I highly recommend moving through this while you're on your knees. So, from your knees, placing your hand, inhale, moving forward, feeling the extension through the wrists, feeling the extension through the forearm, and exhale. And then inhale, back up. And then moving with the breath, do this 10 times consecutively. You'll notice as you get to the end of your 10 that they become harder. You notice that as you move through them, you're putting more weight into your fingers, more weight into the balls of those knuckles that are really rooting into the mat for that stability and balance as you move forward. As you do this, your head is going to be at about a 45-degree angle alignment, and you're just gonna flow through. So, that being said, one great thing to start adding to your practice is about 10 reps of that. If you can just add it every time you're on the mat, or even maybe when you're not on the mat and you just have a little extra time that you can get down and start building that strength. Again, it is much different than a standard tricep push-up. If you can do tricep push-ups, great, you're almost there. The thing is you don't want to start transitioning into a tricep push-up when you're doing postures like Galvasana, when you're doing flying pigeon, when you start doing poses like running man, and then you're in that 90-degree angle, and you're bringing that leg up, and then you start extending the leg, and you're holding your body for balance, and then all of a sudden, you start dropping that chest forward, breaking that 90, and then you're gonna plop right on your chin. So, it's really good to get that feeling for the 90 and to feel where that should be, pulling everything in tightly, pulling your arms, pulling your shoulders back and in, feeling them snug up against your ribs, feeling your body make those 90s, 90 through your palm, 90 through your forearm, 90 up the bicep into the shoulder, feeling your head, neck, and your back all in flat alignment From upper body on up, this is everything that you should be feeling as you move through Chaturanga. When you're in full expression, you should be here. So practice that. First, practice it seated, looking in a mirror. Extend the arms. Bring the arms in. Extend the arms straight forward. See that extension. See the extension through the wrist. Do you see why wrist flexibility is so important in the practice? Because when my arms are moving through this plane, my palm is moving straight, if I was horizontal here, straight up and down. But you see where that puts my wrist in proportion to the rest of it. It wouldn't be a video if the dogs didn't bark. So when it comes time for the full expression, and you're here in downward facing dog, you're wiggling it out and everything feels good. And now the instructor cues, now take your vinyasa and we'll meet back in downward facing dog. Or the instructor cues, inhale forward to plank. You arch, you come forward. And exhale, lower to Chaturanga. Inhale, flip the toes, upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. Wash, rinse, and repeat. The threat has been neutralized. There's no more barking. I hope this little breakdown was beneficial for you. I hope you were able to take some of this and transition some of these strength building practices into your daily habits and into your time on the mat. And if you enjoyed this and liked some of the breakdown and the content here, then check out my beginner's breakdown class. Sunday evenings at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. More information is available at my website, www.turningstrawberry.com. And coming soon, we should have some content that is available for streaming at any point in time. So that way, if you can't catch the live classes, you can still get your yoga in for the day available on my platform. So if you haven't already, like and follow this account, and then check out and subscribe to www.turningstrawberry.com for news and updates and more things along those lines for content that's similar to this. So I hope this is helpful, guys.